Well, the engine of my airplane, 2-3 uniform, is toast. Something major needs to be done. I haven't flown in 112 days. Just did the calculation. And this is personal. This isn't just an airplane. It's like the heart has been ripped out from this airplane. And I'll explain that more. Whew. But to catch you up, recently I had an engine issue several months ago where I went out and I was gonna go flying, noticed some bad engine indications, didn't feel comfortable going to fly. Thank goodness found it on my Garmin engine monitor. Came back, did some diagnosing with several different mechanics, decided it was time to replace the cylinder, sent the cylinder off to get overhauled. Cylinder came back, and then I was waiting for my mechanic, who happened to fly an airplane with Trent Palmer all the way to Florida from Texas, and then flew that airplane all the way up to Alaska. And that airplane was given away recently, but he was my mechanic, so he couldn't be here. I was on family vacation, so it just took a long time to get to the point where we could work on the engine, work on the airplane, figure out what was going on, and do what I thought was gonna be a cylinder change to kick us into the summer flying season and do some really fun flying this summer, only to end up on a really fateful day that ended up being bad in so many ways. So that day was April 28th, forever now seared in my memory as one of the worst days of my life, and not because of this engine, but share that in a second. Aris came down. He flew down with my friend Mauricio. Aris does this thing where he'll fly in and do some maintenance, and he's done it before with me. Super helpful. So he came down, brought the cylinder, got to work. We were going through this process. I was filming a video, plan on making this, the process of an annual inspection video and replacing the cylinder and so on and so forth. It was all fun and exciting. And then I got a call that an airplane had gone down locally and that it could have been my friend Daniel. Now, those of you know from watching my recent video that my good friend and neighbor, Daniel Bunker, passed away in an accident. And so right in the middle of making that video, in getting 2-3 uniform back in the air, found out about that. And man, I will always remember the surreal moments of that event, being here, finding out, the people I was talking to, how I found out, going home and telling my kids, feeling the need to come back here to the hangar to be with my community, my flock, my flying friends again, because they were here alone working on the engine. And Mauricio himself had flown with Daniel quite a bit, knew Daniel well. So when I came back to the hangar on that day, Aris had been at work, and Aris said, "I have really bad news." And he walked me over and showed me what I'm about to show you. And that is right here. These are called the lifters. So as he was taking the manifold apart, he found these lifters had cracked. Basically just touching them, they fell apart. And that is not good. Mandatory tear down of the engine, but means a lot more than that. Lots of warning signs otherwise, but obviously being in the shock of where I was at the time, my literal words were, "That is not a big problem. That's something I can take care of. That's something I can handle, something I can fix." Being just minutes away from losing my friend, and that was something I couldn't fix. So, what an emotional journey, but that meant 2-3 uniform was grounded, and she wasn't gonna be flying, and nothing else really mattered at that point, including 2-3 uniform. It was just a big emotional event. Now, for those of you that don't know, Daniel has a really big connection to this airplane, which I will forever continue to cherish, to talk about, to celebrate. A wonderful man, a wonderful friend. I recently did a video about him and how he's connected to 2-3 uniform. So through that, you'll be able to see why I'm a little bit emotional right now. So that started off another chain of events, okay? So obviously during that time, I wasn't paying much attention to the airplane at all. Like I didn't have any time to really think about the airplane at all. Much more important things to do, family stuff, grieving. I mean, the deepest grieving I think I've ever gone through. But there were some other other things going on. The Airman Show, which is kind of our local biggest trade show gathering thing, happened that weekend. I got up the courage to go up there because I felt like there were certain friends I needed to be with in their grieving. That was the number one reason. And then also I knew that if there was going to be anything engine wise that was going to happen, needed to talk to people there. So I got up the courage to do that. That is an entirely different story, but an emotional roller coaster in and of itself to see so many people going through normal everyday life, but we were in such a tough spot. So I talked to some people about overhauling, about new engine options, about upgrades, all sorts of stuff, just on this big learning curve about what was possible. Got a lot of contacts, went through a process. That was that weekend, and this was just, you know, several days removed from the accident with Daniel. 2-3 uniform down. At the very least, the engine needs to be torn apart. Just a lot of emotion behind everything. So came home and came over here to my desk, which is right here under my wing. And let me just get the camera set up here. Okay, there we go. So after the weekend of going to that Airman Show and going through that emotional roller coaster, but learning some things about the engine, my options, and really learning that things were actually quite bleak, I finally had a day here, this being the day a week later from the accident, and things still extremely fresh, extremely difficult, and had a little bit of time to come to the hangar. In the few moments I had here, I just felt this extreme heaviness sitting down at my desk and having this wing over top my head, this airplane behind me, and just feeling like a little bit like all hope was lost. But I'm not the type of person to really stay there for long. And so all I wanted to do was go fly. I wanted to go fly and heal and see the beauty and feel the peace and shed some tears and have this airplane humming again. This airplane that was Daniel's at one time, this airplane that we shared. So, you know, difficult moment, some tears definitely. And then I realized that, you know, this airplane's gotta fly again. I've got to find a way to get this airplane flying again. And of course, very soon after Daniel passed away, I knew that that had to happen anyway. And so that's, you know, one of the reasons I went to that Airman Show. But Q3 uniform has to fly again. I've got to figure out a way. I have gone through, again, a huge learning curve, trying to figure out what I can do with this engine that I currently have, if I can do anything. Would it make sense to upgrade the engine? But really, the biggest epiphany I had as I was sitting here was I realized that the same day Daniel died is the same day that my heart got ripped out and my heart was broken. And also, in the same moment, in the same time frame, in the same few hours, the heart of 2-3 uniform got ripped out too. And I think that's a beautiful redemption story that now I get to be a part of, and I get to take this airplane into the future. And so 2-3 uniform has to fly again, and I am determined to make that happen. I'm determined to find a way. The way is not easy. The way is not cheap. It's not gonna be a short amount of time. Some things could take longer or shorter than others. Again, there are options for the engine, but she's got to fly again. That's going to be a beautiful day when she does, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So that is where I am. I think it's the reason why it was so hard to hit record on this video, because it is a bit of a double whammy. I say a bit of a double whammy because the airplane doesn't matter. Again, I can figure the airplane out. So much of my focus over the last, it's been over 6 weeks now. So much of my focus has been on just the family, myself, my own grieving, my wife, my kids, helping out a funeral and other things. We had a barbecue here in the hangar, opened up the door. I even bought a grill and everything. So that was a great community event to be here and celebrate Daniel's life. So we've done a lot of things in that time frame. Getting the engine running, getting the airplane running is not something that's going to be fixed soon, but it is an interesting process, and dare I say, the most important story that I have ever told on this channel. Obviously, we took this airplane down. It being with Daniel, took it down to Wisconsin, got all the avionics upgraded. But this redemption, this new life, this healed heart of 2-3 uniform will be the most beautiful story we've ever told on this channel. I am now the steward of this airplane. It is an honor to do so, to continue to carry on its legacy. And it does have a legacy. You know, a lot of people recognize 2-3 uniform, and I have a lot more to say about that. So there's going to be some more videos about whether, you know, like an airplane is truly an airplane, or if it's so much more than that, and some airplanes do end up being more than that. I have some more videos I want to share with you guys for like the actual engine process, the options I have. That gets a little more technical and nerdy, but I fear that's its own separate thing. But I really want your input from the community. So, you know, now in the comments, let me know what you think. You know, as I'm looking forward, what are my options? This is a 1963 172D. It's got an 0300D engine in it. I think I've done the research pretty well, but what am I missing? What other things should I be looking at? What are your opinions on keeping this engine versus upgrading to something different? Again, that's a bridge we'll cross later. But I just wanted to kind of break that news, because this story, this process is going to play out fairly quickly here, I think. More so because I'm extremely motivated to make it happen, and something's got to happen to get this airplane moving into the future. I can't sit around waiting forever. I need to balance my financial life with the emotion of getting this done. There's a bunch of different things at play here, but knowing full well that in the future 2-3 uniform needs to fly again. Again, really appreciate all your support, your comments, all that sort of thing. And wanted to mention Pilot Protection Services. I need a lot of people on my team right now. I need support, and they support me in so many ways that if I have any quagmires throughout this process, that they'll be there to help me out legally and otherwise. And there's just so much going on. It's really hard to lose, rather really easy to lose track of things right now and drop a ball and get in some sort of legal trouble or something. So really grateful to have Pilot Protection Services as a sponsor. So again, more videos coming in the future. Make sure to subscribe, like this video. I really want to hear your comments, guys. The support is so appreciated. I appreciate how many of you had seen the other video about Daniel and had reached out. Lots of people I haven't heard from in a long time coming out and supporting us. So thank you so much. This is a really, really interesting time in my life, and one that I'm leaning into. I am feeling through the process, grieving through the process, persevering through the process, and there's just no other way. And I also feel a tremendous sense of gratitude for even the difficulty of this process and all that I've been through, because I've grown so much in the last several weeks. I have new purpose in life, in my work, in my family, in my friendships, in my faith. And I don't know, I'm just that sort of guy. And some of you may like it, some of you may not, but like, I just wear my heart on my sleeve, and this is just how I am. This is an emotional, personal process for me. This airplane, my living, my family, everything, it is all intertwined. And I'm very happy and grateful to have the opportunity to share that with you through this channel. And through the different things that I'm able to do. Just very, very blessed. So feeling a lot of those feelings as well. Without rambling on too much more, again, comment and stick around, fly safe, fly legally, and until next time, throttle on.